Good morning, it's Grand Prix Day, the 72nd Macau Grand Prix, and a very good morning from the commentary box. We've got so much to look forward to today. The sunshine is out, it's a really warm morning as well, and we're about to get racing underway in just under 15 minutes here at Macau. It is for the first race of the day, and the grid that we're about to see line up down there on the grid. They had a day off yesterday. They were able to watch the racing that was taking place for all of our qualification races because they qualified on Friday here at Macau, and it is for the Greater Bay Area GT Cup GT4 cars around the streets of Macau. 9 laps in prospect for our first race of the day. Not the only GT racing that we have here at Macau, because we had a thrilling GT3 race yesterday for the Macau GT World Cup, and this GT4 race is a very colourful affair. Good morning from Alan Hyde in the commentary box, and a very good morning sat alongside me and poised and ready for a full day of action here at Macau is David Addison. Morning, David.
Morning, Alan. What better start than a grid of GT cars? GT4 has really boomed in the last decade or so, not just in Europe, but then across to America, Australia and Asia. And this Greater Bay Area GT Cup for GT4 cars has been a regular race at the Macau Grand Prix, but this year forms part of the championship, because new for 2025 has been the SRO GT Cup, which is a China-based GT4 series. It began at the Chinese Grand Prix, a sport race in Shanghai. It's been to Pingtan and on the streets of Beijing also a month ago. They've had double headers everywhere except here, where we get the one race. And you're looking there at the man that is the AM champion, and indeed second overall in the championship, Moritz Berenberg. The championship won by the driver that's on pole position, Han Li Chao. That is Cao Tzu Lung. He will start 5th on the grid in his Level Motorsports Toyota. We have 10 different manufacturers on the grid for this 7th round, final round of the championship. It is going to be a 9-lap race, and they're the BMW of a real mainstay of racing at Macau. Kelvin Leung lost his best lap for being in the fast lane too early in qualifying, so he's a bit further back on the grid than he would like to be.
Doesn't look too bothered by that, does he? As we make our way down the grid, what you'll see is something really quite typical of the Greater Bay Area GT Cup, and that is local drivers from this area, the Greater Bay Area. So from Hong Kong, China, from Macau, China, and from Chinese Taipei and China as well. And they are all just delighted to be here on the grid. It's a big thing, it's a special thing, and it only happens once a year.
And for one driver, it's their farewell race. Darrell O'Young is on the outside of the front row, so second on the grid for what's going to be his last race. He had 2 class wins in silver in GT3 Asia in Beijing a month ago, and now he's having his last race, and where better after 20 years than on the streets of Macau. So 27 you're looking at there is the Toyota of Tao Ti Kwan, another of the Toyota GR Supras, and 55 is the... Sorry, 95 I should say, is Darrell O'Young's Mercedes. Darrell pops out of the car. He's won Carrera Cup Asia as a championship twice. He's won the Bathurst 12 Hours twice. He's won the Macau GT Cup twice. And there aren't many things with a roof over the top that he's not raced in over the years.
You're absolutely right. And a 20th Macau Grand Prix weekend for Darrell O'Young is when he decides to hang up his helmet from a competition behind the wheel. Still very much involved with Park Bamboo as the team and the business interests that are involved around there. And just think the amount of experience that he's got. He's pretty much been through every possible condition, so his experience is going to be absolutely vital in going forward. And you know what, it's an emotional decision when you've been competing for so long behind the wheel, and he has put on social media quite a few times this week, posts leading up to this event, and he has said just how emotional it is getting his helmet design the last time that he'll have a helmet design, and everything about this weekend is going to be an emotional experience.
There's one gap on the grid, I think, where a car is not yet there. 36 I can't see, which is Yang Kai-wen's Mercedes AMG. 89 however is there. That is the Supra of Cao Tzu Lung, who was last year's TCR Chinese Taipei champion, but has moved from touring cars into GT racing this season. quite a few of the drivers getting out to stretch their legs, get a bit of air, even though we're not yet at 8 o'clock local time. It is certainly a warm day. Number 15, Mercedes, was quick on Thursday in practice, but then hit the wall. It's Chen Chunhua, who's been racing in the Audi R8 Cup. He has raced in the touring car races here in the past. He's also been to Spa, not for the 24 hours, but for the 25. He was the Fun Cup 25 hours a few years ago. He's been in GT3 racing in Asia prior to GT4 this season, that Level Motorsports Mercedes. One car that we lost on Thursday, Kanche Wei's Ginetta, that hit the wall at Moorish, huge damage, so that's been withdrawn, which puts us to 24 cars, but might be 23, as I say, with the absence of Yang Kai-wan, the car not on the grid. It might be trapped at the end of the pit lane, or it may have an issue that's going to stop it from taking part altogether. We'll double check. BMW then, touring car by shape, but a very quick GT car, the M4.
And has been doing great things around the world for a number of years. We were trying to think about it the other day. Probably in the region of 10 years that car has been successful in GT4 racing. They built a bit of a winner there, didn't they?
Yes, and BMW don't get it wrong terribly often, do they? So the M4 has been good both in GT3 as well as GT4 terms. BMW also providing the safety cars here, which got a lot of use early yesterday, but then as drivers in other categories came onto the circuit, they were rather underemployed. Briefly saw some sort of animal walking along the front of the grid. We'll possibly come back to that in due course, as Sai Chung Ta is ready to go in his Mercedes.
I think it's a massive chicken. I think it's a big chicken.
Right.
Apparently yesterday afternoon, which was quite a warm afternoon, whoever is inside the chicken suit was a bit warm by the mid part of the afternoon, so decided to relieve himself of part of the chicken suit. So basically it was just somebody walking around with big orange feet in the afternoon.
Welcome to Macau. Yang Len Chow, his Aston Martin, is the driver we're looking at the moment. And there's the front row. Toyota versus Mercedes AMG. And Darrell Young, perhaps through announcing this retirement, through all the merchandise, through all the social media posts that Alan was talking about, has piled a whole load of pressure onto himself here, but he knows this circuit so well. That's the Ginetta that had problems on Thursday of Lake Kit Meng. If you've got a very long memory, you might remember him racing in the British Formula 3 Championship in the late 1990s. He's been a winner in the Macau Road Sport Challenge twice over. And the Ginetta runs from the RPM Racing team, which is his stable. There's the massive chicken, look, at the very front. See what you mean about the big orange feet.
Yeah. And it was very warm yesterday afternoon.
And I think it's going to be the same today. It's very warm already.
It's going to be more so today. Yeah. The expected high today, 27 degrees. And the other thing that we do have here at Macau, quite a high figure for humidity as well. It feels quite warm already, doesn't it? 8 o'clock in the morning.
It does. There's the Mercedes number 99 of Wong Wei Hong, who's been a regular in the GT4 races here over the years. 77 is another of the quick Ginettas, although it's a little bit further back on the grid than Lau Kim Ho would like, but he's been another driver that we've seen regularly in the GT4 race for the Greater Bay Area GT Cup. McLaren is another of the manufacturers represented out of R10. Ip Un Ho, who's to be found a bit further back on the grid. He was another driver in trouble the other day, lost a lap and had an incident on Thursday, but the McLaren 570S all put back to how it should look. And yet another manufacturer, KTM, with the quirky up and forward bodywork to get Liu Qiren into the car. Chinese touring car racer. Again, he's been here regularly in the GT4 races over the years, and also this year has done the Hyundai N Cup. And here's somebody who is so intrinsically involved in the event, Miguel Ley, that not only is he a regular in the GT4 race, he actually works at the Grand Lisboa Hotel.
Couldn't get much more local, could you? And Lisboa, of course, one of the unique overtaking points around the 6-kilometre circuit here at Macau.
5 minutes, all the car.
Wai Ming is another driver that we've seen regularly in races here, but in the Road Sport Challenge in the past, now stepping up to GT4. Kenny Chung, his weekend started rather badly because he was 2 minutes late for the driver's briefing, so he got fined for that. Then the car kept stopping and starting on track in the pre-practice session. But Kenny Chung, great enthusiast. To the back row, you find number 23, the McLaren of Wang Chengtou. He was in this race last year in a Mercedes, and the grid's going to be completed by Brian Lay, who never got out to do a lap yesterday. That car, sorry, on what day was it? Slept since then. Friday. That's the one. It got to the end of the pit lane and then expired, didn't it? A bit like I'm about to.
Pick a day, any day.
Yes, yes.
And it probably happened then.
I know there was an early start. There was a lot of talking and quite a few interruptions.
You're right.
But Brian Lay should be one to watch, I think, coming up from the back of the grid. Goes all the way back to racing Renault-powered single-seaters, going back a good few years. Right, the grid is being cleared. And the car's good to go for this rolling start, as befits a good GT race. GT4, to call it entry-level GT racing is perhaps a little bit unfair, because these are still serious bits of kit, but it's a cheaper alternative to GT3, and it's something that really has attracted the attention of the manufacturers. And it was a very slow burn. And then Porsche, having built the Cayman, wanted a GT4 model, and they thought, well, we talk about our GT3 Porsche, so they wanted to brand the Cayman as a GT4, and discovered that the IP to the name GT4 was owned by SRO, by Stefan Rattel's company. So they approached SRO and said, any chance we could use the GT4 tag? To which Stefan said, of course, absolutely no problem, as long as you build some cars to go onto the grid. And they did, and other manufacturers followed suit and thought, we better combat this sales pitch from Porsche, and the rest is history. The grid then has Han Li Chao on pole position from Darrell Young on the front row. Daniel Liu is next from Moritz Berenberg and Cao Tzu Lung. Kelmin Leung is sixth from Wang Ho, and number 27 of Tao Ti Quan. Next up, Chen Chunhua and Lu Kai Shun from Chuangxi Shun and Sai Chang Ta starting 12th. 13th on the grid, Yang Meng Chao. 14th is where Lei Kit Meng will start, and he's one to watch from Lau Kim Ho and Wong Wei Hong. Hopefully 17th on the grid is Kai Wen Yang. You've got Ipun Ho's McLaren. Lu Ki Ren next from Miguel Lai 20th. 21st on the grid, Fok Wai Ming and Kenny Chung next, with Wang Chengtou and Brian Lai to round out the order. Is this the fairy tale that Darrell Young so craves?
We shall find out, because they will go off on their formation lap in just a few minutes' time. Last couple of words from the teams. Just wondering what's going through his mind now, because he's lined up here for a race in some form or another for 20 Macau Grand Prix. And how special is this going to be for Darrell Young? Would be nice, wouldn't it, to have a headline story for Darrell Young on his final race?
It absolutely would. He's been a loyal enthusiast of GT racing and of the Grand Prix. He was one of the drivers that came to keep the event going through the COVID period, which seems like a distant memory, but over here, of course, only 3 years ago, we were still having to battle through that. Grid being cleared of the mechanics, the engineers, the SRO officials as well. And there you can see the last engineers who will stay with the car to the 1 minute board. Engine will fire up, and then the leading car will take them away for the formation lap. Lovely mix of cars. You've got Audi, Porsche, Aston Martin, KTM, McLaren, Ginetta, Lotus, Mercedes-AMG, Toyota and BMW.
Well done.
There's not a lot you're missing out of that.
Well done. Super stuff. So the heart rate goes up just a little bit for these drivers lining up at Macau for the first race of the day on Grand Prix Day. And what a privilege that is as well, to come here to Macau. You know that there are going to be a lot of people already in the grandstands at 8 o'clock in the morning, settling down for a full day of action. We've got single-seaters, 2 championships represented for single-seaters. We've got GT racing in the form of GT4, which are lining up now, GT3 a little bit later on, and we've got touring cars as well. The fans that come here to Macau in the grandstands from early on in the morning are well catered for in racing, GT racing, single-seaters and touring cars. What more could you ask for? Motorcycles. Okay, well, we had them first thing yesterday morning. And they were earlier than this, weren't they? About an hour earlier than this they started.
I could smell the coffee from the hotel. There was so much espresso needing to be consumed. The aroma was everywhere. And it is the ultimate wake-up call for everybody when the bikes go out. They were fantastic yesterday, and I'm sure you'll be able to find the replay of that online. So the cars are good to go. The BMW pace car, as it effectively is, will take them away. That accelerates clear now, and then a glorious grid of GT4 machinery will be released with the green flag, and the cars now blast off the grid ready for our formation lap.
Hanley Chow there in the 33 car pole position, leads away. Darlow Young just behind, and already the important business of moving the cars to get a bit of heat into the tyres, that starts to take place now. And it's going to be absolutely vital if the circuit is going to be, inverted commas, cool at any point today. It's going to be now, and it's only a relative concept that it's going to be cool. It's going to be very, very warm as the day goes on. The forecast all week has been that today is going to be the sunniest day of all 4 days for the 2025 72nd running of the Macau Grand Prix. So it is going to be warm. If they need to get a bit of heat into the tyres, this is perhaps the one that's most critical for them to do it.
Now, last year's race was one of the best of the weekend because it started on a damp track that dried out a little bit. It started, you might recall, from the assembly area because we were desperately tight on time, but it ended up with a virtual dead heat. Sadly, in the end, the result was affected by a penalty, which went to the Court of Appeal, but was not upheld. But it was a really, really good race, and it illustrated the way that the different types of GT4 car can all battle evenly against one another. There is Lisboa, which yesterday proved to be quite a pinch point for the local drivers in the Road Sport Challenge. Well, again, many of these are local drivers, but a level further up, and quite a lot of experience on this grid. More powerful cars, yes, really professional teams that operate them, and GT racing in Asia really has boomed in the last just under a decade.
It's a unique place, Macau. Not only does it host this 4 days of a festival of motorsport, essentially, but at night time, as soon as the darkness falls, the circuit is open to normal traffic. I went for my customary walk around Macau last night, and walked down pretty close to the Grand Lisboa, which is the hotel on the outside of Lisboa. And you do realise that building is quite unique. I'm not sure there's a building that looks the shape and the colours of that building anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, we've been saying over the weekend that Macau kind of has two personalities, because for motor racing purposes you see it during the day and it looks like it's got some modern buildings and it's got some old buildings and it's got some lovely old architecture, but you come here at night and it is a completely different place. It looks so different because then all of those casinos and hotels, all of the bright lights just take on a completely different feel. The cars now making their way up from Police to Moorish, narrow part of the circuit, and a really early break for this very, very sharp right-hander, out of which there number 3, the Lotus of Liu Kai-shun, turns. Before he came into car racing, he was a professional golfer, and is hoping that he's going to be able to work the second of the two Lotus Ineras up in the course of the next 9 laps. This is the slightly banked left-hander of Donna Maria, and that takes you down to Alan's favourite corner, the Melco hairpin. I say favourite corner because he's about to explain a yellow flag. Yeah,
it's under yellow flag conditions throughout the 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix. No overtaking, very sensible. It would be horrible to see an attempt of an overtaking manoeuvre, but that opportunity is taken away from them. It's very, very narrow, 7 metres in total, the width of the road up at the Melco hairpin. So they can't overtake. They wait for the flashing green light on the exit of the corner. That's when the circuit goes downhill. It begins to open up. It goes into 2 lanes of normal traffic every day, and then opens up into 4 lanes. The widest part of the circuit is coming up behind the safety car now, and that's the completion of a lap. 2 right-handers at the end of the lap, Fisherman's and R-Bend, and it gets quicker and quicker and quicker. They get to the end of the lap and consequently the start of the next lap, but no overtaking at Melco hairpin.
And the other thing about the hairpin is you can't cross that yellow line either, because if you are on the right of that you won't have enough lock to get round the corner, so you've got to stay to the left of it. We're ready to go racing then, as the pace car as it is peels into the pit lane. The front of the grid then is Hanley Chow versus Darlow Young, the black and red Toyota Supra in the GR colours, Gazoo Racing colours, the white, largely white Mercedes of Darlow Young alongside. Keep an eye on the bullet-shaped Cayman on the second row of Moritz Berenberg as the cars are released now then to get the Greater Bay Area GT Cup race underway. Daryl O'Young gets his nose in front, but Han Li Chao fights back on the inside as they go through Reservoir for the first time. This is where the brave of the brave will shine through, and there's drama in the background as Brian Lay loses the bonnet on the Ginetta, but the cars accelerate down. We've got a McLaren in the wall as well, I rather fear, which may well be Wang Cheng To's car, but as the leaders come side by side down towards the Reservoir and then Mandarin sequence of corners, it is the Lotus in the lead. It is Daniel Liu who has got ahead of Daryl O'Young. Han Li Chao has dropped back into third place. Moritz Berenberg is fourth. Calvin Leung in the BMW is fifth. They scrambled through Lisboa for the first time, but I rather fear we've got two damaged cars at turn one.
We certainly have, and that was all a bit interesting, wasn't it? They were almost four abreast as they went down onto the wide part of the circuit, and that is the result of Brian Lai's car. It lost its bonnet, and I think it's got a fair bit of other damage as well, which is not good news, but at least it's running.
Safety car deployed. The other Ginetta in the background was the car of Kenny Cheung, and I'm pretty sure that up against the wall on the inside, going through Reservoir, was the Chong Weng To McLaren. Brian Lai's had a horrible weekend. Kenny Cheung's hasn't been much better. He limps on, but Brian Lai's car is going no further. But I don't think it just lost the bonnet, in fairness. I think that was a legacy of contact. And those were the three cars at the back. So Kenny Cheung is going to try and drag the car around. But
doing an amazing job to do that, because the right front wheel is not rotating at all.
Well, he wants a lap. Let's have a look and see if we can piece it all together. These are the leaders then, side by side. Daryl O'Young round the outside. And then, we've got a car in the wall already. Oh, it's the KTM. And no, Brian Lai's bonnet does just lift on its own. So independently, and Kenny Cheung, I think, went wide in avoidance and got into the wall. So three dramas, all of which triggered a safety car period. So Kenny Cheung, I think, had to go wide to avoid Brian Lai and hit the wall. Brian Lai's bonnet just either wasn't secured properly or something had happened to trigger the air getting underneath. And the KTM was having its own incident anyway.
Yeah, that was quite a busy opening first race of the day, wasn't it? And we don't yet know precisely how the Lotus got to the front, because it looks as if Daryl O'Young had the advantage, just a nose in front off the line, got a really, really good start, was side by side with Han Li Chao, and then I think it was 3 or 4 cars all contesting the lead of the race, and the best by the time they got down towards Lisboa was the yellow Lotus, which looks absolutely fantastic. There's the BMW safety car. It gets scrambled now, so off it goes, picks up the Lotus, and just behind him is the Mercedes of Daryl O'Young.
And Yang Kai Wen, who I was getting concerned about for missing on the grid, has joined the race from the pits, and he's probably just done himself a whopping favour, because that meant that he could circumnavigate all of the dramas. The replay of the start then, Han Li Chao slightly in advance as they came into our bend, but the cars peeled through, accelerated away, and when the lights changed then, have a look at the back of the grid. The KTM at this stage is all good, so everybody blasts away. And how did the KTM find the wall? Han Li Chao was on the inside. The KTM, there was just a little bit of a rub, wasn't it, that unsettled the KTM in the background. That's how that ended up clattering off the guardrail. Then Brian Lai's bonnet goes, and yeah, Kenny Cheung, I think, tried to avoid that and found himself on the dirty part of the racetrack, and damage is sustained. Brian Lai gets to a vehicle access point and stops. That was very good, sensible driving. And as the cars came down to Lisboa, by this stage, Daniel Liu was already ahead. I think Daryl O'Young and Han Li Chao were so busy scrapping amongst themselves, Alan, that they kind of left the door open for him.
What Daniel Liu did was to give himself a little bit of space, and it was rather good that he was able to get over to the left-hand side of the circuit, get a bit of breathing space, and all of a sudden, because they were battling so hard at the front of the field, things opened up for the Lotus, and that's how he got to the front of the field.
So, safety car is on track. We're going to have probably 2 laps minimum as the drivers weave their way down towards Lisboa. These days, it's not as easy to hoik a car out of the way, because the International Sporting Code requires that a race is neutralised before marshals are allowed trackside. So the good old days of somebody leaping over the wall, attaching a rope, and the car disappearing, I'm afraid, are gone. It's not quite that straightforward. It can be done, but only under controlled conditions. Moritz Berenberg, the AM champion, turning his way in the Porsche down through the right of Lisboa. Just the one Cayman that we have within the race. as you see, good representation of Toyota and a further 8 manufacturers as the cars now climb up San Francisco Hill. And Daniel Liu in the lead of the race. Not for the first time has he been at the head of the pack this year within the championship, because he did take a win in the first of the 2 races in Beijing. Now, Darrell O'Young is going to be on his toes on the restart, isn't he? Because he knows that he's running out of racing laps and therefore running out of options in order to try and take this fairy tale win.
He was certainly on his toes for the start of the race as well, wasn't he? Came up towards the start of the race and immediately got just a little bit of a nose in front, and it kind of showed just how determined he is to make this a race to remember. He would like to win, of course he would, they all would, but if, you know what, if he's on the podium, that would be a pretty good final race for Darrell O'Young. He's a huge character in the area, absolutely massive. A few years ago we were saying the other day that just outside the Macau Grand Prix, when you come up towards the paddock entrance, there are a lot of little stalls that do great business over the course of 4 days of the Macau Grand Prix. And a couple of years ago there was this very ornate sort of action man-sized model of Darrell O'Young. You could change his helmet, you could put a trophy in his hand, change his race suit, all that kind of thing, and it sold out. So, they didn't have one left at the end of the 4 days, that's for sure.
Well, there's probably going to be the 20th Macau anniversary edition.
I would imagine
interchange all the different trophies as well. Yes. There's another range to come. I'm sure Darrell's thinking commercially about all of this. He won't be lost from the sport because, as Alan was saying earlier on, he's got his Craft Bamboo Racing involved, but he also manages Bianca Bustamante racing in single-seaters, so there's enough to keep him occupied, the Hong Kong Canadian driver. Only just in the last half a minute or so seen a flatbed recovery truck go past us on the way down towards turn 1. We've got 3 cars rather, to retrieve, so it is going to be a slightly lengthy operation, I fear, which is not great news for the drivers. But it is one of the perils of Macau. There's that yellow line I was talking about on the inside of the Malco hairpin. If you are to the right of that, you're never going to get round the corner because you won't have the lock, so it's another of the regulations. Yes, no overtaking, but also please make sure that you don't cross that line.
And we have seen, it's very rare really, because it's a no overtaking position. It's pretty rare that you see a potential race position changing action at the Malco hairpin. But we did yesterday. It was in single seaters, and you can't afford to take your eye off the ball for a single second, can you, around the Malco hairpin, because just a centimetre out of the perfect line around that corner, and bop, we saw a single-seater driver yesterday bang a rear wheel, and as a result of that, relinquish a podium position on the final lap.
Now, as the cars come over the line, the field goes through. Recovery operation still taking place down at turn 1, and the drivers trying to maintain tyre temperature. We had in one of our many safety car periods in the road sport race yesterday the top 2 drivers coming out of our bend for the resumption of the race, ready to continue their battle, and what actually turned out was that the leader got all sideways, and that delayed the second place car. 3rd, 4th and 5th accelerated past and went on to be on the podium, and then much later in the day were all given penalties for overtaking under the safety car. The official said he should have braked and let the others stay ahead to the timing line. So 3 very happy local drivers got on the podium, and they left very unhappy because they all got penalties, and the result changed again. You can see the way that the cars are being guided through into zones. You've got one for the KTM, one for the clearing up, one for Brian Lyre's Ginetta. So we're not going to end up, I fear, with many racing laps here, and such a great shame that it happened not only on the first lap, but really at the first corner.
It's a 9-lap race. It's the shortest of our races today. We've got a 10-lap race coming up for the first of our single-seater categories today. FIA F4 have 10 laps for the FIA F4 World Cup, 10 laps also for our second touring car race for the Macau Kia race. and a whopping 16 laps for the Macau GT Cup for GT3 cars, and that's all coming up in the early part of this afternoon ahead of the full build-up for our Macau Grand Prix race over 15 laps this afternoon. So this is the shortest race of the day, and we are losing laps as we continue to go behind the BMW safety car, a little bit like the road sports race yesterday morning. One of the races for the local drivers, a huge event for the local drivers, and even though they barely got a couple of laps of full racing during their race, it didn't quell the joy that they got when they ended up on the podium.
Safety car is in this lap, so we are going to go racing this time. This again is one of those situations where I would hate to be a race director, because if you put the safety car out for 3 or 4 laps, people say, why didn't you stop it and let us go racing? And if you do stop it, people say, why did you stop the race and not use the safety car? Because that's what it's there for, to keep the race going. But you're damned either way. But it's a little bit more complicated here because of the timetable, partly because you've got to open the roads on time at 6 o'clock, but also the Grand Prix and the build-up to it has to start on time for the arrival of the dignitaries from the government, the chief executive, for example. So the timetable, perhaps on race day, even though there's less in it, is even stricter.
And of course, there are a huge amount of broadcasters around the world that are taking coverage of today's races, and quite right too, because the eyes of the motorsport world are on Macau over the course of 4 days, and more than ever on today's racing. Heading down from the Macau hairpin now, and indication on the timing screen that we have a slippery surface, which we saw the marshals dealing with that down at the incident zone, so they need to be careful. Those Lotus, you know, look absolutely fantastic, don't they? You wouldn't often think a yellow car with stripes of gold on it would be particularly attractive, but it just works.
It does here, doesn't it? So Daniel Liu versus Darrell Young versus this year's champion Han Li Chao. So Han has taken, within the championship, 4 wins out of the 6 races. There is, within the SRO GT Cup, a silver championship, silver graded driver championship, and AM as well. He's the silver champion. Moritz Berenberg behind him in this race is the AM champ, and indeed second in the points of the championship. Green flag flies. We are back racing then as the cars come out of our bend, and a very good restart by Daniel Liu to jump clear of Darrell Young by a couple of lengths as they get down towards Reservoir. For the first time in this restart, the Lotus is away. Second then it's the Mercedes of Darrell Young. Third is the Toyota in the hands of Han Li Chao. Fourth is Moritz Berenberg in the Porsche, and there Darrell Young not even being able to go after the Lotus particularly. Daniel Liu has made a very good restart. This is the part of the circuit where quite often you expect the Mercedes to be the gun car with all of the grunt from that front engine Mercedes AMG power unit, but actually Darrell Young is under attack from Han Li Chao, who comes up on the outside line, and Moritz Berenberg to the inside. He's never raced here before, Moritz, but he's having a red hot go in 4th place.
Certainly is, yeah. A really good restart by the race leader. The Lotus getting away very well. And what's happened at the bottom of San Francisco Hill? There's been a coming together at Lisboa as well.
Le Kit Meng's Ginetta is in the wall, and if he can't get the car going, we're going to end up with yet another interruption, aren't we? So it might have been that there was another car involved in that as well. Darrell Young has gone missing, because Darrell Young has not gone through the second sector. You can see the Lotus, you can see the Toyota, and Darrell Young has ground to a halt going up San Francisco Hill. So you've got the Ginetta stationary there. The safety car again is called, but Darrell Young's Mercedes has got a problem and has ground to a halt further after this corner. Now let's try and have a look. This is the first incident. So Le Kit Meng is given a bit of a whack by the Mercedes that just fires him off, but already look, the yellow flag is showing further up the road because Darrell Young has stopped.
You know, just saw something happening in the bottom of the screen on the right-hand side, and there it is.
And Berenberg's gone in the Porsche as well, look. So Darrell Young, now that's curious because Darrell Young was second and Berenberg was 4th, wasn't he? So has Darrell Young had his own moment that Berenberg caught up in it? We'll try and piece it all together, but we've got the safety car yet again, and now 2 cars to remove at a pretty difficult pace. Not very many cranes at San Francisco Hill, for example. You need flatbeds.
Yesterday and today, it's been a tricky first race for the largely local competitors, and now we need to try and piece together exactly what's happened. So yeah, so Darrell go. So Darrell goes straight on, if you like, at the bottom of San Francisco Hill, which is perplexing to say the least.
It is, unless he'd run over something that damaged a tyre. But you're right, Darrell Young then ran out wide, hit the barrier and bounced across the road, and then an unsighted Moritz Berenberg getting into the back of him. So the AM champion is out of the race. It's not going to be the fairy tale result that Darrell Young wanted. And truth be told, it's not really the race that people wanted, with still not a full racing lap completed. So the safety car comes through. We're down to 5 laps to go now anyway, and Daniel Liu, Han Li Chao and Kelvin Leung, the top 3. In 4th place is Lu Kai-shun, up from 10th on the grid, and there again is the safety car.
Race control to safety car, you know the drill. He's only done it a couple of laps ago, and once again the BMW safety car is scrambled, picks up the leading Lotus of Daniel Liu. We should mention again, Daniel Liu got a very, very good restart after the safety car pulled off into pit lane. And this time it's going to be a slightly different story, in as much as he's going to have Han Li Chao on his tail when we get the race started once again. Weaving the cars as much as you can while the safety car is out. They're losing tyre temperature all the time. They're going slowly around the circuit and under the control of the safety car. And the problem with that is you lose tyre temperature if you don't keep it up. Then you're more likely, once the safety car comes back in, to have another incident because of cold tyres. So it's a tricky situation, this.
So everybody staying to the right to give the track workers space. And you can see there the flatbed, but we might need another one of those to get both cars out of the way. So huge disappointment for Darrell Young and Moritz Berenberg. So trying to work out just why Darrell Young ended up in the wall, whether he brushed the barrier on the inside and that spat him wide. That's one option. A bit of tyre damage is another, but it would have been cold tyres. But this is an experienced driver we're talking about in Darrell Young. So very, very strange, that. And also very disappointing for him after all the effort that has been put in. And I think he might have to delay the retirement and come back next year. Yeah, 21 years.
You don't really want to go out on a race like that, do you? I feel very, very sorry for him. He was full of emotion heading into this final race weekend of his illustrious and very long racing career. We're still trying to piece it all together, exactly what happened to Darrell Young with all of his experience. You kind of think there was something that happened that meant that he went straight on at San Francisco Hill and hit the barrier. It's not an accident you see very often, is it?
No, it's not. We had an incident there in the road sport race yesterday, but that was by somebody trying to get up the inside, which was never going to work. Cars then turning their way through behind the safety car. So from another angle, this is the bottom of San Francisco. Have a look at the second place car. Now, does Han Li Chao get into the back of him maybe and give him a nudge? Doesn't look like it. There's a gap, and Darrell Young, I think he might have just skimmed the wall on the inside, and that fired him onto the wrong line. Berenberg's the unlucky one. He arrives around the corner and suddenly is staring at the back of the Mercedes AMG that he doesn't want to see.
So I think we're slightly closer to knowing. At least I think we've now worked out that he didn't get tapped into that position. It's still a little bit perplexing, and whatever was the cause of it, hugely disappointing.
We'd like some good news.
Yes, please.
What Lei Kit-Meng's Ginetta that we saw get spat down the escape road into the tyres, that's rejoined. So it's lost its rear wing, but at least that part of the circuit's clear.
That is very good news indeed. He being the winner of the Road Sports Challenge race last year here at Macau. And he's not had the best of luck over the course of 2025 here at Macau. So that's good news for Lei Kit-Meng in the very, very brightly coloured Ginetta G55. Couldn't have more colours on it if it tried.
It screams Macau, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
So the cars come down towards our bend, and the number of laps tick on down. Again, this is where you kind of think, on the one hand, good, keep the race going because you need the timetable. The other option is stop it, suspend it, and then people aren't losing all of the laps, but it just elongates the whole slot that the race has to be finished within. Very difficult for race control to judge it absolutely spot on. So at least this way the race keeps going. And ultimately, although there is a frustration when a safety car is called, the onus is on the drivers not to hit things or each other. As we saw yesterday in the World Touring Car event, in the FIA GT Cup, in the Grand Prix qualification race, it can be done without hitting things, hitting each other. And here, sadly, what should have been a really lively race has ended up with a number of the star drivers being eliminated early on, and we're looking forward to the resumption of the race, which hopefully ain't going to be too far away.
No further investigation into the incident at Marshall Post 3, so they've had a look at the incident in race control and deemed that no further action is required. Somebody was also saying to me this morning just how quickly the recovery vehicles, bear in mind that a flatbed recovery vehicle goes out to wherever on the 6-kilometre circuit. It doesn't come back here to the paddock on the circuit itself. It uses the perimeter roads that go around the Macau circuit. And already we've got Brian Ly's car being dropped off down here in the paddock. Very, very quick, aren't they? Yeah,
they are. It's a well-drilled operation there at the bottom of San Francisco Hill. Still the clear-up continues to try to get Porsche and Mercedes AMG out of the way. There is a vehicle access gate just opposite that, but I'm really rather fearful about how many racing laps we're going to get in here.
Well, we have 5 laps completed. It's a 9-lap race. They are on lap number 6, and one thing that you do have to do at Macau is make those manoeuvres count early on in the race, because you never know what's going to happen to you over the course of 9 laps around Macau, and making a move in the Lotus for the race leader early on may well prove to be a decisive move in the overall positions. Daniel Liu. What was it Christopher Haase said yesterday down there on the grid when he had a chat to them? Anything can happen at Macau.
He wasn't wrong.
And very often does.
Yep. Indeed so. We're going to have at least one more lap under the safety car as the field turns through. Daniel Liu then leading Han Li Chao and Kelvin Leung in 3rd place. It's the second of the Lotuses in 4th of Liu Kai-shun, and then Cao Tzu Lung 5th. Wang Hao is in 6th spot. Miguel Lai 14th in the Audi. And Lei Kit-meng last and 19th in the now rather battered Ginetta. At least it's still circulating. It might be a bit of a handful when he goes racing without the rear wing. Something else there, but a lively ride. He just wants to get to the end of it now.
And they need to be prepared to get things back underway at any point. So keeping heat into the tyres when they get to the wide part of the circuit, weaving the cars from side to side to try and keep heat will hopefully prevent any kind of problems as far as cold tyres are concerned when the race gets back underway.
Now the lights go out coming down through Black Sands, which is the other side of the Melco hairpin, and we understand that they're not too far away from getting the recovery done. Safety car in this lap. Brilliant. We are set to go once again then. The lights go out and race control trying to get the race back underway as quickly as possible. Right. Have you got anything that's not crossed? Because it needs to be crossed to get through to the very end. Daniel Liu leads the Greater Bay Area GT Cup.
And now they know, don't they? Weaving the cars a little bit more vigorously than they have on the previous 2 laps to get things back underway, to get racing back underway here at Macau. Our first race of the day, the Greater Bay Area GT Cup. The safety car, the BMW safety car, busy already. It's only just coming up to 8:30 in the morning, and already he's been called into action twice in the BMW safety car. But we are racing. Green flag is waved, and the Lotus comes across the line. And he's not going to have this easy, is he?
He's not, but a rather tardy restart from Kelvin Leung in the BMW. He'd lost a lot of time to the top 2. So the champion in the SRO GT Cup, Han Li Chao, now tries to concentrate his efforts on getting past Daniel Liu as the cars come down towards Mandarin, out of Reservoir, on towards Lisboa. Lotus leads, Toyota second, big gap back to BMW. There's a yellow flag at the end of the previous lap. We'll worry about that in a moment then, because somebody has had a drama coming through. Safety car again. we've had a car crash at the end of the restart lap. There's a change going on for third place, but Lukai Shun round the outside of Calvin Lowe. That was a nice move on the outside, but the safety car again, and it looks as though Chen Chun Hua in the Mercedes has crashed. We've also got another Mercedes facing the wrong way at Lisboa. Sai Chang Ta facing the wrong way. It's one of those races, I'm afraid. And there, coming up to the resumption of the race, is Chen Chun Hua, who has accelerated on his cold tyres, Alan, and just understeered into the barriers.
It's so important, isn't it? Lap after lap behind the safety car. You have to get the tyres back up to temperature. And oh dear, there we go. Understeers into the barrier, and quite hard into the barrier there as well. And then this down at Lisboa as well. I wonder if there might have been a little bit of a touch going in to Lisboa there from behind.
I think you're right.
But we'll wait and see the result of that. But yeah, so two separate incidents on the restart. However, I've got a real positive about this for the race leader. He's been exceptional. Both of the restarts have been really good. He's under pressure. That time he was under pressure from Hanley Chow, but off the line and on the restart, the race has got away very nicely indeed for Daniel Liu.
So the cars then for the third time are behind the safety car, making their way on lap 7. And I think you can get one lap of racing at the end under green conditions. That will have done pretty well here, but sadly not one full racing lap has been achieved. Daniel Liu there discovering just how tight the Melco hairpin is. Same for the other Lotus of Liu Kai-shun.
What did we just see there? It was so close to the barrier on the exit of Melco.
Right, this is the Chen Chun Hua not restart. This is coming through our bend. This is the last corner. And I think, again, he might have just skimmed the wall on the inside, but he fires himself out to the outside. It was our bend rather than Fisherman's, and that's the reason for yet another safety car.
What was the reason for Daniel Liu, do we think, going so close to the barrier on the exit of Melco hairpin behind the safety car? That was really close.
Yeah, good question, that. Now, slightly concerned that we've not yet got anybody working on the Mercedes, but perhaps the diktat from race control is we need everybody through and then we can deploy people onto the circuit. But I think this is going to go to the end under the safety car now, I'm sorry to say, because we're on lap 8, and let's have a look as the cars come down towards Lisboa in replay. So this is the Liu Kai-shun pass for third position. Green flags are still being waved here, and now there's a yellow flag. So had he done that move just before the yellows and the safety car was deployed, it's marginal, but I think he was just okay. But Chen Chun Hua started the weekend with a damaged car. Prediction, by the time that is out of the barrier, will be for a checkered flag, I think. Because, oh dear. That's not the best way to jump down from the wall. Anyway, they keep smiling. It's going to take a bit longer, I think, than normal because of the way it's embedded under the tyres.
At least they were quite jolly about that.
Yes, right. Yeah.
They could see the...
oh, you did it as well, yes.
The amusing side of it. And word should go to the marshals that are dotted all the way around 6 kilometres on Macau. They do an amazing job. It was incredible when you saw Darryl O'Young's car at the bottom of San Francisco, and then all of a sudden, when the word was given from race control that the marshals can come on to the circuit, how many did you see? A dozen marshals all in one go. Something else that I've noticed walking around Macau in the evening, increasingly so now, the security guys or the marshals that are working on the corner elect to stay there on the corner overnight. So they set themselves up, little airbed, all the home comforts, little alarm clock set up, and a few drinks and some food to get them through the night. But the commitment to duty and looking after all the equipment that's on every marshal post, that happens all the way around the circuit. It's quite a commitment that they do to this event, to make it, to help it run as effectively as it does.
I'm afraid to say that the race is going to end effectively in the order it is now, because we're on the 8th lap of the 9, and I don't think the safety car can come in this time. So we have a result and not one racing lap completed, a full racing lap, which is a massive shame for a championship that really rather deserve better. But if drivers hit things, what can you do?
Yeah, very disappointing. We said it yesterday about the road sports as well. The bigger the grids, we love big grids. It looks really, really nice when you've got a full grid lined up down there to take the start of a race. However, the probability of something going wrong, like we saw yesterday morning and this morning, it raises with the size of the grid, doesn't it? So we've got quite a comfortable number of GT3 cars competing for the FIA GT World Cup, the Macau GT Cup later on. It's less cars than we've had, but you know, coupled with the fact that we have GT drivers at the very top of their game, world-class drivers, we had a lights to flag race yesterday without interruption.
Yeah, quite. Yeah. And because that car's at the very last corner and its nose underneath the tyre barrier and the recticel barrier, it's taking a long time to move, and the safety car would have to have extinguished the lights by now. So we've got one more lap at the end of this. The road is now clear. The road is clear. Brilliant stuff as the car's lifted over the barrier. So can the safety car dive in, or is it too late? I think it's probably going to have committed, isn't it, to stay out for another lap? No, lights, I think.
They're still on.
Still on. It could bail.
At the moment, it's in the wrong part of the track to bail.
Yeah, so we're going to have to do one more lap under the safety car, and that will take us to the checkered flag, and that's monstrously frustrating when the road had just been cleared. Maybe 10 seconds earlier would have been okay, but it is not to be.
It is frustrating. However, on the form that we've seen so far, it's probably the safest thing to do with the timetable the way it is. 9:15, we've got the Macau Formula 4 race, the 10-lap race for the FIA F4 World Cup, and the Greater Bay Area GT Cup with 3 safety cars deployed. We can't afford to have further delays, can we? Because that F4 race is due to get underway in just under 40 minutes' time.
So the cars now come down through the approach to Mandarin, and of course the safety car can only leave the circuit into the pit lane. It's not that it can park anywhere else around the racetrack and get things underway here, for example. It's got to come into the pit lane. So again, sadly, a bit like yesterday's Road Sport Challenge, it's a race that is going to be finishing under the safety car. Now, perversely, because of a spin and then having to press on to catch up, the fastest lap of the race to Sai Chang Ta's Mercedes, that's in 18th place. So Daniel Liu is going to take a second victory of the season, and in second place will be Han Li Chao, and the champion is going to therefore round out a very good season with yet another podium finish, and it will be the other Lotus of Liu Kai-shun for third position.
How often do you say that the fastest lap was about a minute and a half quicker than anybody else in the field? That's quite a unique one, isn't it?
And only at Macau can you say that the fastest lap of the race was done under the safety car.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to say, because we've had so much safety car not running, there's no real option in this race. So Daniel Liu will bring the field back towards the start and finish area.
We saw it yesterday in Road Sports that the safety car will peel off into pit lane, and they are allowed to go up towards the checkered flag. And yesterday, I think we had the car in second place that had a bit of a Geronimo moment when they came around the final turn. Geronimo Badaraco was going for the win, but that can't happen.
No, and in the end he got a penalty for doing so. But you're right, it's like a ceremonial finish, isn't it? So the cars will drive to the checkered flag, but we know the result because you can't overtake until you get to the timing line, the control line, and that's where the checkered flag is. So it's for show more than to restart the race. But what could happen is that somebody else goes wide and puts it in the wall, and you gain a place as a consequence. So it's possible to change the result, but it shouldn't really be happening. So Daniel Liu, who was Carrera Cup Asia champion back in 2021, has been a regular in single-seater racing, drove in Europe for a time in the Euro Formula Open. He raced the GT World Challenge Asia, in Asia Le Mans, and he is on his way to win number 2 of the season. He won the first race in Beijing, and looks like it's going to be a victory here for him as well.
They make their way around the left-hander, Donna Maria, and will go down towards the Macau hairpin under the control of the BMW safety car once again. And I think Hanley Chow will be a little bit frustrated by this, because he looked as if he got a really good restart that last time after the safety car came in, and was looking at challenging the Lotus for victory on the top step of the podium. He'll be there on the podium, albeit on the second step of the podium for our first race of the day for the Greater Bay Area GT Cup for GT4 cars under the control of the BMW safety car, whose lights are now out. It will pull off the circuit at the end of this straight, and then the top three and the rest of the field will make their way up towards the checkered flag for the first race of the day.
So Daniel Liu takes a Pyrrhic victory from Hanley Chow, and then Lu Kai-shun in third place. Lei Kit Meng getting to the end, but I think there'll be a real sense of frustration amongst the drivers and for the drivers as well. Safety car peels in, they drive to the checkered flag, it is waved, and Daniel Liu, who wins from Hanley Chow, and we have had Lu Kai-shun take the flag in third place, but he's just been noted for overtaking under the yellow flag, so that move down at Lisboa may not stand. For now, he is shown as being in third place, and that was your Greater Bay Area GT Cup race for GT4 cars. Daniel Liu, the winner, and all of that work done on the first couple of corners.
It most certainly was, and we say it so often here at Macau, you need to make those manoeuvres early on, because you never know what's going to happen over the course of the race. And the victorious Daniel Liu, Liu Wenlong, across the line first, takes the checkered flag, and there will be, of course, the slowdown lap. Probably one of the first laps that he'll have done in completion without a BMW in front, up towards San Francisco. About to turn past the marshals. They all wave to the marshals, don't they, and thank them for all that they do. And in fairness, bright and early on a Sunday morning, the marshals have been pretty busy already here at Macau.
Can you answer me a technical marshal-related question?
Oh, I know.
And I'm open to answers from around the globe on
Go
this.
on.
I can't think of any other circuit that I go to where marshals trackside are not in fireproof overalls. They're not in orange suits, they're all in their Macau jackets, they've got their orange tabards, but finding a marshal in a fire suit and an orange suit, we talk about the Orange Army, for example, in terms of marshalling, but not here.
It's a really good point. It's a really good point.
Do you have a really good answer for me?
I don't know.
Ah, okay.
No, well done.
That's the winner. That's Daniel Liu, that is.
It is. I don't feel like a winner. I don't know the answer to that, but a really good question as well. Although, and I sort of have a variation on a theme of an answer for you.
Right.
Marshall's suits, the pro bands, the orange suits that we see in many parts of the world, including the UK, do seem to be worn by security at nightclubs here.
Okay.
So now you know.
I'll ponder. Let's have another look at this moment for Lu Kai-shun. So the second of the yellow Lotuses is what we're looking at. Right, there's a green. There's a green. He comes up to the outside of the BMW. We're still under green flags. Look at the green flag nearest to us at the bottom of the shot. That's still there. Still a green flag. He's alongside, and there's a yellow coming out any second. He's ahead. He's ahead. He's ahead. He's ahead. There's a yellow flag being shown there. It was ahead slightly, and then the car goes out of the corner, stays ahead of the BMW. So that is what is being looked at by race control. But equally, at the speed you're going, to suddenly have to stand on the anchors and drop back in. So that was one part of the excitement. And then that, of course, that bit of contact that turned around the Mercedes of Tai Chang Ta, that was under a yellow flag. So it's one thing to complete a manoeuvre, it's another one to turn somebody around under a yellow.
They're going to be busy in race control, aren't they?
Not wrong.
Goodness me. This is our winner of our first race of the day. The number 20 car started on the second row of the grid, started third on the grid. got a couple of really good manoeuvres completed by the time they got down to Lisboa on the opening lap of racing. And that all rather paid off for the Lotus driver, Daniel Liu, on this slow-down lap, onwards and inwards into pit lane. Those Lotus are really cool, don't they? Really very smart indeed.
And it's interesting that they have gone so well over here. There are certain cars that seem to, I mean, you can put a lot of it down to the team, but they work better in some regions. You know, we have seen the Emira in British GT, and the team that was operating them, Mahiki Racing, eventually just could not sort out the reliability and eventually moved to Ginetta and got rid of the Lotus project, which is a shame. We've seen Toyotas here winning this championship. They've been really good in French and European GT4, but haven't worked necessarily in other markets. So maybe it's down to the nature of the tracks or the teams that operate the cars, but certainly here the Lotus has done very well. Team Pegasus, the squad that operates Daniel Liu's car, well, he's a delighted driver. He may not have done many flat-out laps, but he cares not. He's a winner at Macau.
Because that is an iconic shot on the top of the car in Parc Fermé. A win is a win, and he's going to enjoy every single moment of that. However many laps you are behind a safety car, this is what it means to a driver and to a team as well. To be on the top step of the podium at Macau is something very, very special indeed. So celebrations down in pit lane, celebrations in Parc Fermé as well. Very soon we'll have our first podium of the day. But you see, it might not have been the race that we were looking forward to, racing lap after racing lap. But you have to be there to be there.
Well, exactly. What Daniel Liu did off the start to jump ahead of Darrell Young and Han Li Chia, who were so busy concentrating on each other, they let him through. The work was done. You know, he didn't luck into that because they crashed out of his way. He had to overtake them, and he did it on cold tyres on a really fast part of the circuit. So Daniel Liu has done a good job. Provisionally third is Liu Kai-shun there, his teammate, and the other team, Pegasus Emira. But Daniel Liu is all smiles, and hopefully next year the GT4 brigade will be able to keep themselves a little more the right side of the line. Whether it's, you know, the fact that it's early in the morning and the road is still cool, discuss. But I think part of it comes down to the fact that you want to do well at Macau, and there's a lot of pressure on.
And one of the other things that comes out of that race is a very sad way for Darrell Young's race, his final race, announcing his retirement a little bit earlier on this month. His retirement after this race, but unfortunately retiring from the race early was not quite the fairy tale answer that he would have liked for his final race. So, do you know what? I'm going to go with your idea. Maybe we'll have another retirement race in the future for Darrell Young.
Yeah. Yeah, comebacks are quite a thing in motorsport, aren't they? So, Darrell, we'll see you next year. And that also gives you another year of merchandise to sort out. Let's have a look at the very provisional result then, headed home by Daniel Liu Wenlong from the SRO GT Cup champion Han Li Chia, and under investigation Liu Kai-shun for third. Calvin Leung was fourth. In fifth spot it was Cao Tzu Lung, and Wang Hao was in sixth place. Zhang Xishun seventh ahead of Tati Kwam, Yang Men Chao and Lo Kim Ho. Rounding out the top 10, we have Miguel Lai in 12th place. We have the recovered Lei Kit Meng in 16th. And Liu Kai-shun's passing under the safety car yellow flags. No further action. The move was done in time, say race control. And that's good news. That means the podium we're going to get will be the podium, the top three confirmed, without having to go and investigate anything post-race. Lots of disappointment for the likes of Brian Lai, who's had an absolutely miserable weekend, and Liu Tiren also struggling. The grid is being formed ready for our next race for single-seaters here at Macau, but the representatives of the Greater Bay Area GT Cup presentation party will very shortly be making their way to the podium, and it will be Daniel Liu that will be on the very top step in readiness for the podium. Representatives of the Galaxy Entertainment Group are going to be there, and the podium ceremony will be getting underway very shortly. The trophy queens will be on the podium. The trophies will be brought forward. The drivers will be there as well. And first up, they've got to sort of battle their way through the paddock, haven't they? Through the hundreds and thousands of people, it feels like, that are there. And,
not the work of a moment.
No, the enthusiasm from the drivers we talk about, but the same is mirrored by the fans who all want to see the drivers, all want to be there and celebrate the moment.
Photograph, please. Can I just have a quick photograph with a winner at Macau? Because it's a fairly rare thing. It's a very exclusive club, isn't it? The drivers over the years that have been on the top step of the podium and experienced that joy of victory here at Macau. And yeah, rightly so, fans, spectators and officials alike, they all want to get a few selfies over the course of the weekend.
So a second Lotus win of the season, and a Lotus 1-3 in the final round of the SRO GT Cup, the Greater Bay Area GT Cup race here at Macau. I'll have a look back at the best bits of a sadly much interrupted race.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome back to the 72nd Macau Grand Prix. And now it's time for the prize presentation on the podium.
Attention in the paddock. Paddock gate is now open. Paddock gate is now open.
We're gonna present the prize for the Greater Bay Area GT Cup GT4. First of all, please welcome our winners. The second one-up, number 3, Liu Kaishun from Hong Kong, China. And the first one-up, number 33, Han Ni Chao from China. And the winner is number 20, Lu Wenlong from China. Congratulations. Congratulations to all of our winning drivers. And first of all, please welcome Mr. Bernard Falk, Vice President of Program Management of Galaxy Entertainment Group, to present the laurel and trophy to our second one-up, number 3, Liu Kaishun from Hong Kong, China. Thank you, Mr. Falk. And next, please welcome Ms. Carol Tai, Vice President of External Affairs of Galaxy Entertainment Group, to present the laurel and the trophy to our first one-up, number 33, Han Ni Chao from China. Following by Mr. Buddy Lam, Director of Corporate Affairs of Galaxy Entertainment Group, to present the laurel and trophy to our winner, number 20, Lu Wenlong. Congratulations. You've earned this, all of our winning drivers. Please, our guests, move to the center and let's look to the front for a group photo. All right. Thank you, our fans. We saw that they have been cheering us on all the journey. Thank you so much. Thank you, our guests. Thank you. And I would like to invite all of our winning drivers. Please, our winning drivers, remain on the podium, on the top of the podium. We're gonna have one more good photo. Yes. Please look to the front again, and let's give a big round of applause, sending out congratulations to our winning drivers. Thank you. Please return back to the procession as now as time for your celebration.